Hi, it's Alex from Laughing Place. You're watching Laughing Place on location. We're here at CinemaCon, which is a trade show for movie theater owners and exhibitors. All the major Hollywood studios come and present. Disney's presentation was saved for last. They gave out these really funny Thunderbolt cereal boxes. This is one of the standees that you'll find in some movie theaters for the film, which looks like a lot of fun. But just in the order of the presentation, it all started with Stitch sort of crashing all of Disney's upcoming slate. One of my favorite moments was Stitch was jumping on the eye in Pixar instead of Luxo. CinemaCon attendees got to see a full scene from the film, which was then put online shortly after, but it's basically the scene where Stitch and Lilo join Nani at work, and they get up to a little bit of trouble. In the live-action version, that trouble involves a soda gun, and so Stitch starts squirting carbonated water everywhere, kind of parodying a Western cowboy moment. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan were on hand to promote Freakier Friday, the sequel to Freaky Friday. They showed an extended clip having body swapped with younger family members. Anna and Tess go to the record store where Jake, played by Chad Michael Murray, works, with the intention that Anna will seduce Jake into helping them. However, inside Anna's body is a child who's never had to flirt before. So it's pretty funny to watch Lindsay Lohan do that. Jamie Lee Curtis's character is trying to give her encouragement from behind some album covers. One of the albums that she hides behind is Britney Spears's In the Zone album. You can tell that Freakier Friday taps into the comedic tone and magic that made the first film so memorable. So that's going to be a really exciting addition to Disney's summer slate. That comes out on August 8th. Rounding out Disney's live-action slate was Tron Ares, which comes out on October 10th. Jeff Bridges, who's been in all of the Tron films, was joined by Jared Leto, who talked about growing up watching Tron, being a huge fan of the original. Jeff Bridges talked about how exciting it is to have Nine Inch Nails doing the music on this one. And they showed an extended trailer that really started with a light cycle race through city streets, because part of the plot of this film is elements of the game grid come into our human world. So these light cycles are racing down our freeways, and one of them slices directly through a police car. The people inside were not harmed, but it split that car right down the middle. Very Love Bug style, but, you know, Tron. 20th Century Studios is The Amateur, premieres April 11th in theaters. It just had its world premiere in New York. Hot off the critical success of the film, we got to see an extended look at the feature. Looks like a really cool action film. I'm excited to check that one out, which my review will probably be up before this video is. Predator Badlands, coming November 7th. This is from the same director as Prey, and not much was known about this going into CinemaCon, so Elle Fanning was basically able to talk for the first time about the fact that she is in this film, and all she really was able to tell us was that she is on Predator's side. This is basically a film where Predator is a hero instead of a villain, and from the footage shown, it seems like this takes place on another planet where there is a bigger, badder beast, and so Predator needs humans' help to, if there's any chance to defeat it. Searchlight Pictures has Delivery from Nowhere, a Bruce Springsteen biopic starring Jeremy Allen White. He was here to introduce the first ever footage from the film, which looks to be a very emotional but music-filled drama. We did get to see a little bit of Jeremy Allen White performing Born to Run, where he was on stage mimicking all of the boss's mannerisms. James L. Brooks received the CinemaCon Cinema Verite Award. He has a new film coming up with Searchlight called Ella McKay. Jamie Lee Curtis is in that one as well, so she returned to the stage with star Ella Mackey, and we got to see a first look at the film. Looks like a quirky dramedy about a woman in her 30s with a troubled relationship with her father, a dead mother. Her aunt, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, plays a key role in her life. She unexpectedly finds herself the governor of her state for a 3-month span, during which everything goes wrong. Now, this comes from Gracie Films, which is James L. Brooks' production company. You'll remember it from the end of every episode of The Simpsons, and we have the voice of Marge Simpson in the film in what seems like a small role, but still a lot of fun. The Roses Roses. This is a new take on The War of the Roses, which was a book. It was adapted as a film produced by James L. Brooks. This version doesn't have his involvement, but that previous film was directed by Danny DeVito. It's a classic. That was a 20th Century Fox film. And so this new version stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, has a great supporting cast. In the trailer that they showed us, it looks like a lot of really fun couple feuding moments as the eccentric couple starts to unravel and go through a very, very messy divorce, but weirdly a fun film. And so I'm looking forward to The Roses, a new take on The War of the Roses. Now, I'm going to talk about Avatar Fire and Ash here because it fits in with the 20th Century Studios brand, but this is what actually closed the Disney show. They gave everybody 3D glasses. This was one of the 2 times that we got to use them during the presentation. Zoe Saldana was there on hand to introduce some footage, and James Cameron sent along a video greeting to CinemaCon from New Zealand, where he is actively working to finish the film. Like the other Avatar films, everything that we saw was beautiful, eye-popping. It was in 3D and it had a really great depth of field. We did see it in high frame rate, which I'm not personally a fan of. It just kind of makes everything look a little plasticky, in my opinion. So I am hoping to catch the full film in 3D, but not high frame rate, if that is a possible screening option. We got to see the Sully family first interact with the Wind Trader clan, and their flying vessels seem to be powered by some kind of a biological flying life form. There were quite a few little flashes of vignettes, including the Sullys floating down a glowing river at night. And we got to see their first brush with the Ash clan, which are basically Neytiri's people who deflected from Awa, if you could think of that as like a religion. So we saw the Ash people attacking the Wind Traders while the Sullys are in their party. We saw some tension between Jake and Neytiri. Seems like they're at odds over how best to raise their kids as they grow and become adults themselves. And there was a goosebumps-giving moment with the head of the Ash clan. Seems like Kiri ends up maybe a hostage of the Ash clan, and the head of the clan tells her that your goddess has no dominion here, meaning Awa. Back to Thunderbolts, pretty much the entire cast was here, including Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now, they didn't come on stage the normal way. They came through the audience, pretending to have gotten lost in the casino. The actor who plays U.S. Agent somehow lost all of his money by gambling here in Las Vegas. So it was a fun little bit, but they introduced some really cool footage, finds the gang essentially arriving at what used to be Stark Tower, which is now owned by Val. Basically, a confrontation ensues. Now, the tone of Thunderbolts reminds me a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a much more subversive style superhero team-up movie. So if you were a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, I recommend checking out Thunderbolts. Kevin Feige wasn't here in person, but he sent a video message from the set of Avengers Doomsday. They are about to start filming, so the set was kind of being constructed behind him, it looked like. But he also sent along an extended look at Fantastic Four First Steps. In the footage that we saw, it revealed the Silver Surfer, or at least a female variation of the Silver Surfer, which was really cool to see in the film. And we also got a tease of Doctor Doom. We saw his shadow really dominating over the New York skyline from outer space. So that looked like a lot of fun. I can't wait for Fantastic Four First Steps. Zoe Saldana was doing double duty at CinemaCon for Disney. She also was the lone cast member to introduce Pixar's Elio. With our 3D glasses, we got to see an extended look at the film, basically Elio's abduction, his introduction into this alien world, and meeting some of the new friends. It was very funny, very colorful. The 3D really popped, and I think a lot of CinemaCon attendees who maybe weren't overly enthusiastic about Elio left feeling really good about that film. And one of the biggest guarantees for the year, Zootopia 2, sort of closed out the show right before Avatar, Fire and Ash. Now, it started with Nick Wilde kind of pitching that this was CinemaCon instead of CinemaCon, so he was putting really cute Zootopia twists on everything. Instead of AMC theaters, it was AMZ. Instead of Cinemark, it was Cinebark. One cast member was present to promote the film, Ki Hee Kwan, who introduced his character Gary the Snake, and he set up 2 scenes, one of which was from D23, so it was a repeat. The other one was brand new. We hadn't seen it before. In that scene, Nick and Judy are having some issues as partners, and they've been assigned to a ZPD therapy class. So they meet with Dr. Fuzzbee, who's voiced by Quinta Brunson, who's dealing with a lot of other mismatched pairings, including an elephant and a mouse who, of course, aren't getting along. That set up what is their quest to find Gary the Snake, who is kind of the inciting incident into the mystery that they are solving, or the case that they're assigned to. So the second scene we saw was the Marsh Market sequence that, again, was shown at D23. And Disney closed the whole CinemaCon experience for the year. I think they ended the event on a really great note, while a lot of other studios were teasing their tentpole films for the next year and then talking longer term about farther out into the future. Disney's slate is so strong that they really only had to talk about the next 12 months because it's enough to get everybody excited. And really, that's what everybody wanted to hear from these studios is, we're coming to CinemaCon, we're looking for the next 12 months of movie-going experience. Most of the CinemaCon attendees are theater owners, theater operators, and so they're looking to better understand what each of these films are, who the audience is, and how they can best sell those films to their patrons to, again, create this stronger bond of moviegoers, theater owners, and studios. It's all this tightly woven ecosystem, and it's fascinating to see the business side of exhibition, being that I so often cover the films themselves without thinking about the other side of it. Outside of the Disney presentations, I do have some films that I'm very excited about, and I'm going to talk about those in release order. I'll just give you my top 10. These are in no particular order, but I will tell you the one that I'm most excited for because I just can't wait. Jurassic World Rebirth, coming July 2nd from Universal. Gareth Edwards, Scarlett Johansson, and Mahershala Ali were here to promote the film. They showed some new footage. There's some kind of a hybrid dinosaur that gives off some xenomorph vibes. The Mosasaurus is back. There's a baby Triceratops, so it's got some Grogu element to it. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the last two entries in the series, but I think this one, being the start of a new franchise, is going to be a lot of fun. Warner Brothers is calling this the Summer of Superman. On July 11th, the start of the new DC Films era begins. Director James Gunn, who also co-helms DC Films, talked about how he was inspired by the original Max Fleischer cartoons. You can definitely feel that with the film's colorful aesthetics. We got to see quite a lot of Crypto, the super pup, in the footage that they showed. And as a dog lover, I'm just very excited to see Crypto in the live-action Superman universe. So I'm looking forward to this one. Paramount took over Caesar's Palace with marketing for The Naked Gun. I was familiar with the old Leslie Nielsen films. Liam Neeson is now taking over for the franchise. Seth MacFarlane produces, Pamela Anderson co-stars. The trailer they screened was a lot of fun, had that retro throwback comedy style, but also a lot of contemporary elements. Coming on September 12th from Lionsgate is The Long Walk. This is a passion project for Francis Lawrence, who has been trying to make this film for 20 years, and it's based on a Stephen King story. It is a brutal concept, a little bit Hunger Games style. A group of boys are forced to keep walking until there is only one left. They will either die because they stopped walking and they were executed, or their body gave up on them. Mark Hamill of Star Wars fame is the villain in this film, and the star David Johnson joined Mark Hamill to promote the project. It looks emotionally intense, but like it's going to be a very rewarding experience, and I am looking forward to seeing this film. On October 3rd, Paramount is distributing Roofman, which is a collaboration with Miramax. It's based on a weird true story about a man who robs over 60 McDonald's restaurants, and when he gets caught, he hides out in a Toys R Us. So this is set in the 90s, presumably. Channing Tatum is the lead. He was there at CinemaCon to promote the film and introduce the trailer. And Kristen Dunst co-stars. It's part heist, part rom-com, part fugitive drama, and it looks really fun. I'm excited for Roofman. I'm a fan of director Luca Guadagnino, who did Call Me By Your Name and Challengers, and his new film is coming out October 10th from Amazon MGM. It's called After the Hunt. It's a powerhouse drama starring Julia Roberts, and her co-stars Andrew Garfield and Ayo Edebiri were at CinemaCon to promote the film and introduce the trailer. It tackles a university scandal with raw emotion and nuance, and they really stress the fact that this film is a conversation starter and that communal cinema-going experience is why this is perfect for the big screen. I've never seen the original Running Man, but the new one looks great. It's coming November 7th from Paramount. Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell were at CinemaCon to promote the film, and it is a little bit truer to Stephen King's original novel than the previous filmed version. And for you animal fans, Glenn Powell's real-life dog is in the film. The premise is a reality series where contestants survive for 30 days as the target of the best assassins in the world. And so it looked very sleek, a little bit violent, but very smart. And Glenn Powell, who's been in incredible movies like Top Gun, Maverick, and Twisters, said this was the most physically demanding role he's had yet in his career. Wicked for Good, coming November 21st, is definitely my most anticipated film of the year, Disney or not. We got to see a little bit of the footage. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were both here. This is clearly more than just a film version of the second act of the Broadway show. They've expanded the plot quite a bit. We got to see some elements of that. In the footage they showed, we saw glimpses of Dorothy, the Silver Slippers, and a wizard musical number that I assume is Wonderful from the second act of the show, but it looked very different than my expectations, in part because Glinda was there. Entering 2026, Amazon MGM has a film called Three Bags Full, a sheep detective movie. It stars Hugh Jackman and Emma Thompson. This is a talking animal movie. Think Babe meets Knives Out. A shepherd is mysteriously murdered and the sheep want answers, so they hire a detective to figure out what happened. What MGM had to show was not finished footage. It was really a behind-the-scenes sizzle reel, but they introduced it with the iconic lion roar, except the sound that came out of the lion's mouth was actually a sheep's bleat. And almost a full year away, Amazon MGM is releasing Project Hail Mary on March 20th. This is Ryan Gosling in space, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and the teaser showcased a lot of heart and spectacle. Phil Lord even referred to the alien in the film as the most lovable alien since E.T. I question if he's aware that Stitch exists. Ow! But Project Hail Mary has a lot of cinematic potential and it looks like a really fun sci-fi adventure with a lot of heart. That's a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.